Hello and a very warm welcome to you as you join us for the final video tutorial of this Paramics Discovery 24 series. This is the 12th in our series, and if you haven't seen the previous 11, you can find them all on our YouTube channel, and there's a playlist set up so you can go through them really quickly and easily. Now in the tutorial today, we're going to be looking at some visual enhancements that we've made to Paramics Discovery 24. Now we've done this so that your models can look better as you present them to your clients, but also in such a way that you can create a really nice 3D environment quickly and easily without adding lots of budget and time to your project. So let's jump right in and look at some of these visual enhancements that we've made in version 24. So I'm going to use the model in front of me to demonstrate some of these visual enhancements today. And we'll start with a couple of simple ones. One is, as you can see, the grid around the model. We've changed that slightly just so it's much easier and cleaner to see from a bird's eye view. So you can see very clearly the distances and the scale of the model when you turn the grid on and off. And that's using the hotkey G to do that. If I zoom in at a junction, we can now see that we've got these nice smooth lines between the curb points at junctions. So I'll turn my curb points on here. Now previously those were straight lines drawn between the curbs in version 23 and before, and now we've got the smooth curb that is drawn automatically. So if I move a curb point, you can see there's still a smooth line between those two, which is always drawn. I'll just undo that change. Now, it doesn't have any new effect on the vehicle behavior because the trajectories that vehicles were following were always following smooth lines between the lane points. So it's really just a visual enhancement, but it does make the image of the model and the visualization of the model better with that small change. A couple of other small changes we'll be able to see if I go into Edit Network and Styles and have a look at the links in a bit more detail. And I can now turn on this option called Tire Marks. And what you'll see when I turn on Tire Marks is we just get the tire marks drawn around the trajectory lines in our network. We just get a slight change in the color between where the tires are going over the road and where they're not. It just brings a little bit more realism to the model itself. It's completely your choice if you want to use that, but that's a subtle improvement to the visualization there. Now, another one you'll notice here is Pavements, and I'm going to switch that on. You won't see any change immediately, but if I then select a few links, let's say I'm interested in the links approaching the junction here, and open up my properties, and click Pavement, which is a new feature in the properties on links, you'll see that a pavement is now drawn around the edge of the link. So it's now very, very quick and simple to just add a pavement onto links. And what's nice about this is that if I go into a 3D mode, you'll be able to see that the pavement has a slight height there. And so you can actually see the curb on the pavement when you're visualizing in 3 dimensions. So it's really, really quick to add pavements to your model, and I could even add them to the whole network in one go by doing that. And you can see I've now got pavements on every single road in the model. And once they're added on, you still have the option to turn them on and off in the Styles panel. So you can see already, just with a couple of changes there of adding the pavements and some tire marks, we've now got a lot more nuance in our presentation of the road at this stage. Okay, let's just zoom out again. Now the next thing I'd like to show you is the new Annotation Palette, and that's on the Edit Network menu. I go to Edit Network and Annotation Palette, and there's a lot to this palette. If I go to the folders on the right hand side, what you'll see here are 3 folder paths. Now, these are all called resources, and then there's one for buildings, street furniture, and trees. The resources folder with these subfolders are installed automatically when you install Paramics Discovery. So with every new installation of Paramics Discovery, and when you install Paramics Discovery 24, you will get these resources automatically in there. What you can also then do is add your own folder to this. So by simply clicking on Add, you would browse to a folder and you could add in some 3D. You could add in that folder, and whatever 3D shapes or overlays or images you had within that folder would then be brought into this annotation palette. So you've got some folders by default, and you can simply add in any other folders that you want to. Now, if I go to my 3D shapes then, this is what's contained within the folders that are there by default, and you can see this wide range now of different 3D shapes that you can bring very, very easily into your model. So as I say, these are the ones that are in here by default that you get with every installation of Paramics Discovery, and we've kept them quite simple so that they don't take up too much of your memory on your computer. But you can add more into this if you wish by adding in extra folders. And the same principle applies for overlays and images as well. But we're going to focus on 3D shapes because this is the new set of defaults which we've got within our Paramics Discovery model. Now, what's really nice about this is with this annotation palette is we can simply click on one of these 3D shapes and drag it, and that places it into our network. And then as I move in 3D, I can see that shape in 3 dimensions. I can then move the shape around, I can rotate it, or I could move it up and down if I'm in a model with node heights as well. So let me add in, for example, here I can see a bus stop. Let me go along, I can get my bus shelter, I can get my bus stop. I can place those into my model, rotate them around and move them like so. And if I just unpin that to make it smaller, you can see how quickly and easy it is to put a bus stop into my model like this. Now, of course, there's loads of other things I can drop in, and I'm not going to take too much more time to do that, because as long as you can understand the principle of adding in these shapes, then you can just work away at it to your heart's content. So I can add in loads of trees around there, let's say. How about a bench, a few benches around the model, a picnic table in there, maybe a telephone box, and you can see once they're added in, very, very easy to then just manipulate them and get these shapes into position. Okay. Now, another quite nice feature about these shapes is if I add in, let's say, a fence, for example, and I want to run a fence along the side of this pavement here, I could then click on that fence, right click and duplicate, and then I just add in the next one and do the same again, and I can build my fence along the road here by duplicating the 3D shape and moving it into place. Okay, so hopefully you get a good idea of how quick and easy it is to add in those 3D shapes into the network. So that's the annotation palette. So I'm going to close that. I'm now going to go to the Visualize tab to show you a couple of other things in there. Okay, so I'm in the Visualize tab here, and you can see some of the 3D objects which we've introduced in the Edit Network tab, and also the tire marks and the pavements, so those different things that we looked at. Now, a couple of other things that really just take this to the next level. If I go to Visualize and the Styles menu in here, and the first one is I'm going to change the sky. Now, the sky you can see is switched on, and we have had sky in Paramics Discovery for a long time, but we've added in a couple of new options. They're the ones at the bottom here. So you can see this one clear and this one casual. Now, what you'll notice, which is slightly different about these two options, is that the sky almost fills the ground space as well as the space above the network. So they're different from the top four. And that's because these bottom two are using a complete sphere for the sky in the background, whereas the previous ones were a hemisphere. So you were always getting this very large ground area, and now we can change that and have the sky coming right down to a much lower horizon. And if we combine that with turning on the ground here, you can see that it forms a better overall display. So if I went for a previous sky without the ground, you get a very distant horizon. Now if I turn the ground on and put on one of the new skies, you bring that horizon a little bit closer and just make it a bit more realistic, and I think it looks better. I'm going to turn the grid lines off there as well. Okay, now if I zoom out, what you'll see is that the ground is actually a circle forming automatically around the edge of the network, and then when you view the network from different angles, it can look really good and much better than it did previously. Okay, now the final thing I just want to do then is just get a little bit of traffic on here, and then we'll be able to see the model with some traffic on. I'll take those signal movements away. And the finishing touch with the traffic, if I just add in more detailed shapes here, is I can add in some shadows, and there's a toggle for that, or it's the hotkey X, turns those shadows on and off. And the shadows really give a sense of depth, and they apply not only to the vehicles, which you can see traveling through, but all of those 3D shapes that we've added into the network. So you can see the shadows from the different 3D objects. So the model in front of me is one where I've done a little bit more work with those 3D shapes and given it more time, but really only about 30 minutes, and trying to pull something together that looks really nice. So hopefully you get a really good sense of what you can now do with the visual enhancements in Paramics Discovery version 24. So just some simple changes, adding pavements, tire marks, some 3D shapes, putting in the ground and the sky, and then of course adding those shadows in, gives it a really full and rich feel as you present your simulation. And what we've really wanted to do is not just to make it look good, but also make that really quick and easy to do, so it doesn't eat into time and budget on your projects. So thank you so much for watching this video tutorial and for watching all of the videos in this series. We really hope you've enjoyed them and found them useful. We can't wait for you to try Paramics Discovery 24, which is out this month. And we would love to get your feedback and hear how you get on with it. Thanks again for watching, and see you soon.